Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we are going to be looking at a set of paintbrushes that were sent to me for review. They're absolutely gorgeous. These are done by a company called Fuumuui Art, and they are it comes in a little travel case. And they are just adorable, absolutely adorable. So they come as one piece. You can screw them together to join them up like that. They are really, really very pretty, very pretty. I'm going to stick this in the water so that we can get them softened up. We're going to do a little bit of painting with them. We'll take a look at the brush structure as well as whether or not they're going to lose any sort of fibers from the brush. I do believe these are squirrel hair brushes. And the Fuumuui company that has sent these to me did send me a 20% code. So every time you use the code, I receive 20% of a sale. So that's always a good thing as well. Let's see what other information. Unfortunately, I have been so sick that I have not had a chance to play with these or anything else. So unfortunately, I can't give you a lot of information beyond what they've sent me. I will compare them to other brushes I've used, as well as we're going to paint this picture here of the Crocus Sprite. This is done by Mitzi Sato. Aurora Wings is the company name. You can find these at aurorawings.com. I did print this on watercolor paper, so hopefully my printing will stay on the page. If I start getting very breathy, I do apologize. I am still fighting this COVID loveliness, and for some reason it is really affecting my breathing abilities. All right, so let's start with the big one here. All right, so as you can see, the big brush, I have wet it down. It seems to be keeping its shape. There is a couple of hairs here that are going awry. I don't think they're falling out. I think they just sat funny on the bottom there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by wetting down our area with the big brush here. And then we're going to take a lovely purple. They hold a lot of water, which is good. I did not prep the paint, so just trying to get as much paint on the page as I can. Put a little more water on that because I want it to flow. That's better. That's better. Wasn't enough water on the brush. They're quite comfortable in the hand, which is really good. Just going to move a little bit more of that paint. All right, so that's the big brush, and like I said, yes, this is a number 12. Does show on there number 12. All right, so now we're going to put this brush aside here, and we're going to grab the smaller brush. And this one is a number 4. And we're going to pick up a different color of purple here. So this is the crocus fairy, or the, yeah, crocus sprite, I should say. And we're just going to take this darker pink purple. And we're just going to blend that together. So it's just coming off the brush so nice. I'm really actually excited about that. How nice that's coming off the brush. Get a little bit more water. The brushes are keeping their shape, which is really good. You're able to move that pigment around quite nicely with that smaller brush, which is really good. Now we're going to rinse that off. We're going to use this medium brush here. So that smaller brush works great for details. Now I'm just going to thin things out a little bit. Blending those colors together. This is a number 8. Now I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that. It does seem to like to stay in the shape of, I like the way that it's staying in shape. Not enough water. You have to be careful. I have a tendency not to put enough water down. So we're just going to cover the whole area. So I'm able to get into some of those really, really close areas, the smaller areas. Now I do have one hair that's just not doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm just going to put it back into its place. There we go. I may have to trim that hair out. Now they are holding a lot of paint and a lot of water, which is great. It's what you want to see with a watercolor brush. Now I'm just going through and filling in the areas here. And I am just using the paints done by Grabby that they sent me a while ago, because it does have a really good selection of colors as well as metallics. Now I use a lot of metallics when I'm enhancing. I apologize if I'm going off the rails a little bit with my ums and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, with this lovely COVID, my brain is a little off center. So I'm going to take a metallic purple here with the smallest brush. Because I use a lot of the metallics. What the brush does with the metallic is very important to me. On how much it puts down, how much it holds, and whether or not it's easily spread or blended. So it's holding the metallic quite nicely, and it is spreading it very nicely. Can definitely get some movement there. So I'm going to go back to this purple here. And we're just going to add that color. And then we'll come back through with the other brush and blend that in. Like I said, this is watercolor paper, so I'm not too concerned about whether or not it's going to affect the paper. Now, a lot of times when you're using a paintbrush on regular paper, you get splaying of the brush. So I'm going to actually take a look at it on regular paper as well. I'm really actually happy with the way these are holding their shape and that sort of thing. Let's see if we can put that one there. Alright, so we're going to use our number 8. Get it full of water. And then we're just going to blend this in and spread it around. Like that. Because we want it to have that watercolor look. So it did quite well with that sort of thing. Now, for people that like to do their own thing and enjoy painting doing their own thing, we're going to try this. I don't know how to do this properly, so if this is wrong, I'm sorry. So let's see. I am not good at this, but it does seem to be making the petal shape. And I'm really bad at this. So it did make the petal shape. So it does do. Let's try the big one. Now this is what I would use for wetting down an entire area. So I don't know how well it's going to work for doing petals and stuff like that, but let's give it a try. That actually makes quite a nice petal. I need more practice. But yes, it did do the petal shape quite nicely. So that works quite well for doing larger areas. Now we're going to wet this whole area here. I know there's a bit of that pink in there from the purple, but that's okay. going to take this brush here, which is our number 8, and we're going to just take a brown, and we're just going to, that's more red than I wanted, but that's okay. And we'll take this small one, and we'll move it around. So getting into those details with that smaller brush works quite well. So yeah, so these, like I said, are a travel set of brushes. They are compact. They work quite nicely, moving the paint around as well as getting into those finer details with the smaller brush. Let's see if we can get into some of this green here. I've got a nice fine point there. And other than my shaky hands, it does maintain that point very nicely. And we can definitely get into those smaller areas. So even though I am not a very good painter at all, I'm able to use these brushes just with a paint palette. I think these will be a great addition when going through and using the ink tints as well as the watercolor pencils. We will try, let's try some ink tints and see how well we can activate that and control the amount of water. Because that's another thing with a lot of paintbrushes is whether or not you have control over the water and where it's going to go. So I used quite a bit of water there. Now I'm going to wipe this off, and we're going to pick up some of that water, which it definitely did. Sometimes the brush is not very absorbent, or the hairs just don't hold on to the water very well. So picking up water from where you didn't want it to be to move it to places that you wanted it to be sometimes can be quite difficult. And this did it very, very well, which is awesome. So we have 3 different brushes here. We have a 12, which is fantastic for doing petals as well as large areas. So if you want to cover an entire area of, let's say this, you can definitely mop an entire area and cover that with the water. And then go into your, let's pick a nice bright color. And and just work it in. You can definitely do that. And it works quite well. In moving that through the water. You can even add other colors. And it's just holding on to that pigment, which is great. And you have a full area that's been soaked down, which is wonderful. So we have the large brush, which like I said, I consider this to be a mop brush. You can also use it to cover large areas as well as cover, like do your freehand stuff as well. I don't do a lot of freehand stuff because I'm not good at freehand stuff. I am not a professional artist, painter of any sort. So these brushes to me are something that I would use with, say, my ink tints, which we're going to use a little bit of. And the way that I would use them with the ink tints, let's see, we're going to use this color. Is I would of course color an area and then use the brushes to move that color around. So we have amethyst here. And I'm just going to like I said, this is watercolor paper, so it is textured. So using your ink tints on it may not be the best option, but we're going to try it anyway. So as you can see, I'm putting the ink tints where I want those colors to be the brightest, and then we're going to use the paint brushes to drag that color out into the areas where we want it to be a little lighter. Okay. All right, now we're going to use our smallest brush here. Actually, let's use our medium brush. So we're going to use our number 8. I'm just going to make sure that I have nothing on the brush, just water. And we're just going to move that around. I don't think I have enough water on here. Now, sometimes using a brush this way in a scrubbing motion to break down that pigment causes the brushes to fray. So I'm going to take a look at the bristles after I'm done here and see if the bristles have frayed, if I've lost any bristles, or if I've lost the shape of the brush itself. These are all things that sometimes you forget to look at when you're not used to doing things with watercolor brushes. If you're used to using watercolor, I'm probably driving you completely insane right now because I'm doing this completely wrong. But like I said, I'm not a watercolor artist in any way, shape, or form. But I am really enjoying how these brushes feel in my hand. I'm getting a really good movement of the pigment from the ink tints as well as the paint. And so far I have not found any hairs on my work, which is good. Other than that one hair on the larger brush, I haven't seen any come completely out of place. Now we've done the work there. I'm not seeing any unshapen, misshapen, or torn brush bristles. So the brush has maintained its shape completely, and the bristles are perfectly fine. And can still move the pigment around on the paper. So I'm not seeing anything that I would be concerned with the bristles themselves. Another thing that I have found with some brushes is when you get water all the way up to here, you end up with a splitting of the wood or a separation. And I'm not seeing any splitting of the wood either. The screw compartment holds tight there, so I'm not seeing any problem there. One of the problems that I'm a little concerned about is when you put this back on, there's nowhere for it to leak from. So if you put your brushes away wet, like if you're out painting or whatnot, and you need to go and you put it away wet, there's nowhere for it to, no way. Oh, there is. I'd be wrong. Okay, so there is actually a hole in the end. I did not notice before. So there is actually a vent there to help you dry your brush. That's really cool. I was a little bit concerned about that. And see what happens when you don't pay attention. So there is a space for the brush to dry, which is awesome. That was my biggest concern, was how is this brush going to dry if you're on the go and you put it away. And it, like I said, there is a hole in the end of the handle here that does allow the air to get to the bristles and dry that brush out, which is awesome. So, in conclusion, for the best of my abilities, I think the brushes are doing very, very well. There, like I said, there's one or two hairs on this one that like to jump out of place, but this is a mop brush in my opinion. It's a brush you're going to do larger areas with and move that pigment around with. You can definitely do your flower petals and all those things. Like I said, I am not a professional artist. I am not a professional painter. I have absolutely no training whatsoever in painting watercolor or acrylic. I will be using these brushes to basically do what I did here, to activate the ink tints, to use the watercolors to color in or paint in a picture itself. So to me, these brushes are fantastic. They're definitely wonderful. Size-wise, they fit perfectly in this little leather holder that they send with it. And you can definitely pop them just right in your purse with a small thing of paint or a small thing of ink tints and be done with it. Not a problem at all. Now on coloring book paper, it's going to do the same thing. I wanted to do it on the watercolor paper because it is rougher. And sometimes using a brush on rougher paper, you can see whether or not they're going to fray or whether or not they're going to become misshapen. And they did not at all. So again, this is AuroraWings.com Crocus Sprite, done by, I always forget her name, Mitzi Sato. Um, and of course, the flower sprites can be found on her website, AuroraWings.com. These, I will leave a link below the video to where you can purchase these from Fuumuui.com. They are on YouTube as well, which you can definitely take a look and see how they use the brushes. And I will also be leaving a 20% discount code below the video. So every time you purchase anything from them with the discount code, you get 20% off. The code can be used with all their products, and of course there is free shipping. So again, these are the Fuumuui Art watercolor travel brushes. They are absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship that goes into them is very, very nice. I am really impressed with the amount of craftsmanship that is in each of these brushes. I'll definitely be looking at other brushes from them as well. I need some detail brushes at some point. All right, guys. So again, I apologize for the change in the voice or the extreme amount of inhaling or breathing. Unfortunately, I still am getting over COVID and am having some difficulties breathing and talking at the same time. So I did want to get this video done because they did send them to me and I did receive them when I first found out I had COVID and was not able to actually show you them. So again, they are the Fuumuui Art watercolor travel set. This is a set of watercolor brushes from 12. There's number 12. And they are a round brush. So that's a number 12 round. This is a number 8 round. And a number 4 round. And all of them are well put together. They're not coming apart. They're not fraying. I'm not losing any sort of hairs out of the brushes at all. So again, this is Fuumuui Art watercolor travel kit. You have the 3 rounds, a 12, 8, and 4. So of course it goes down by 4s. And they hold water very nicely. They lay down color very nicely. You're able to blend as well as what is the word I'm looking for? Sorry. Every once in a while my words lose place. But you're able to blend as well as coat an area in water and just let that paint flow. All of them hold water very nicely. All of them hold their shape very nicely. And they are equipped with a nice little hole in the end of the container. So when you are putting them away, it has a place to drain as well as a place for the air to get to your brush and dry it off. Just don't do what I just did. And You have to be a little bit careful putting them away so that you don't end up running your brush tip into the edge of your cover. All right, guys, with that, I say thank you all very much for watching. Of course, I will leave all of the links to these wonderful brushes as well as the fuumuiarts.com website below the video, where you can purchase all sorts of watercolor, acrylic, as well as other paint brushes and stuff like that. Of course, brain not working, so I will hopefully be better off tomorrow, and we will do our Saturday color and chat. All right, guys, with that, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Otherwise, you end up like me and end up with COVID. All right, I'm just teasing about that. You don't end up like me. All right, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again, hopefully tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye for now.